unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Shawn Porter says that Errol Spence is not in the top 3. Interesting. It has begun. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash app, and the Patreon family. We working. Now, y'all been holding it down. 2020, y'all been holding it down. I really appreciate it. Shout out to everybody for the super chats, donations, new members, and just everything you guys continue to do for the channel. Now let's get into it. Shawn Porter had some stuff to get off his chest. He did an interview. He says that Tim Bradley is absolutely wrong. Nobody on our side, meaning this side of the street, aka PBC, is afraid of Terrence Crawford. He said, we got all the guys. We got all the funners on this side. Crawford has to come to this side of the fence if he wants some of the smoke. And he went on to say that he beat Errol Spence. So his top 3 is Manny Pacquiao, Terrence Crawford, and himself. Those are the 3 biggest fights that he says he can make. Now, you know, I like the energy from Shawn Porter. I do disagree with him here. I feel that Errol Spence versus Shawn Porter was a good fight. I was there. It was a close fight, but the knockdown kind of sealed Shawn Porter's fate in such a close fight. Plus, you're fighting the champion. And I know this is kind of like an old wives' tale where, you know, you got to do more to beat the champ. Because in actuality, all you have to do is win more rounds out of 12. But you know how the judging is viewed, and people view the champion as you have to, you know, put a little umph in it, you know, and really aggressively fight your fight and get the victory, especially when we're talking about a champion. That's just kind of how people have it instilled in their brain to judge fights. So with all things considered, I have to say Errol Spence is definitely still top 3. I have him or Crawford 1A, 1B until they fight, you know, or until somebody loses or looks vulnerable. That's kind of how I see it. So I do disagree with Shawn Porter here. Shawn Porter, I was at the fight, post-fight. It sounded like him and Kenny, they felt they won, but they were almost not too broken up about the outcome and Errol Spence being awarded the victory because they knew it was a close fight. I think the knockdown became pivotal for sure. So I don't think you can exclude a champion and replace a champion who was deemed the victor with the only knockdown in the fight. I don't think it's right for you to exclude him from the top 3 to put Shawn Porter. That being said, Shawn Porter is still very live. He's very dangerous. He could become a champion at any time. He can perhaps beat. That's actually why I want to see a fight with Terrence Crawford and Shawn Porter, because I like the stylistic matchup. Shawn Porter is a handful. He's this whirlwind and ball of energy, and he's always conditioned. You know, to my knowledge, he's a family man, so he's not really disrespecting his body and putting poison in his body and different stuff like that. So he comes to fight. That's just what it is. You know what to get. And even the kind of rougher stuff that people say, you know, football player and running back and fight dirty and stuff like that. I don't remember him being fouled out or DQ'd from a fight. So this ain't, last time he been to DQ was Dairy Queen bars. So since he's not getting deducted points in the Berto fight or whatever fight people thought he was too rough and aggressive, it's a fight. Like Mike Tyson said, it's a fight. What do you want me to do? It's a fight. Who cares? You know, you got to fight. And actually, I hate when fighters look to the ref for savior. Like they're looking for the ref. Like I get it if somebody is fighting you dirty or fighting fail, but what I've always learned is do it back. You know, the ref ain't getting no order in it, like, and not giving you the calls you want. You can't just, in clinches just look over to the ref like, you know, that like your parents. It's like a little kid when a little kid falls and scrapes up their knee, falls off a bike or something, or a skateboard, scrapes up their knee, and they're about to start crying, and they look at their parents and start crying. Like, it just, you got to fight back, fight fire with fire, damn near, you know. So people can say whatever they want about Shawn Porter, unless the referee, I mean, that's the person that they've appointed to be in charge of the match. So you got to just deal with whatever's coming at you in real time. If it's that rough stuff, if you get cut, headbutt, you know, you got to find ways around it. And the more time goes on, the more I respect Floyd Mayweather's fight game, bro. Because Floyd, he's just so smart, and he knows his placement in the ring, and his ring IQ is so high that we seldom seen him. He fought rough guys before, awkward guys like Emmanuel Burton, Emmanuel Augustus, whatever you prefer. He's fought Maidana. He did get a cut in that fight, but based on the awkwardness and the fact that he fought brilliant southpaws like Zab Judah and Pacquiao, it's surprising that he's never been like truly knocked down. I'm not talking about like a glove touch, things like that, and never been like badly like cut in his major fights and stuff like that. It's just because he knows he knows his proximity and his distance and his range, and you know, he's not gonna give you, he's gonna nullify your best advantages. So awkward guys like Shawn Porter, I think Floyd would just matador them. He's just that smart, you know. He did it with Maidana, who's definitely a big puncher and awkward, and comes down with chopping overhands and things like that. So back to Shawn Porter's statements, I disagree. I think Errol Spence absolutely, I mean, just listen to the reality of what I'm saying and what Shawn Porter has said here. You're saying the man with 2 belts ain't in the top 3. Errol Spence has the most belt. One point, Keith Thurman had 2 belts, but he lost, for one, to Pacquiao, and he, for 2, had to give up one of his belts, which later became available, the WBC, because he was so inactive and, you know, on his Derrick Rose of boxing stuff. And rest in peace to Kobe as well. He was inactive and champion in recess and this and that. So Danny Garcia and Shawn Porter ended up fighting for that relinquished WBC belt. So it really makes no sense for Shawn Porter to, in my opinion, to say that Errol Spence ain't top 3 and he's the guy you can't just overlook because you feel you beat him. In my opinion, you can't just take him out. So I would have to put Shawn Porter a strong 4, number 4 in the division. I like the rest of his list because Crawford's definitely that boy. He's that, you know, Bud Crawford. Pacquiao for what he's done, legendary stuff in his Pacquiao versus Keith. I do believe it's that one in Davis. You know, his performance with Keith Thurman, I gotta put him in there. And then Errol Spence, like I said, he's the only, you can't just rewrite history and, you know, forget about the knockdown and Spence Porter. Great fight though, and omit the fact that Errol Spence has 2 belts. Like, it don't make sense, you know. So that, to me, that's more fighter talk. I think there's fighter talk, promoter talk, stuff like that. I think that's just Shawn Porter, the fighter in him. He feels he won, so as a result, he's just taking him out. But in real time, in real life, I don't think that's fair. A unified champion with 2 belts, and it's not like Gennady had no guys have max ever. You know, it's not like Golovkin getting a belt from Derevyanchenko, and the whole world knows that Triple G got his ass whooped in that fight. You know what I'm saying? Errol Spence didn't win like that. Was the fight tough? Absolutely. It was definitely a tough fight, and he was made to work for whatever paycheck or salary he got on that night with Shawn Porter. You know, so you could say those types of things. It was tougher than expected. Shawn Porter did better you expected, just as good as you expected. But with the knockdown and a rough and tumble, that's why boxing is just similar to football in the sense of, you know, how they say any given Sunday, and, you know, it's a matter of inches. Boxing is like a matter of milliseconds. That one flash knockdown, real knockdown, that could seal your fate in a close fight. You know, you could be up 11 rounds and then going into the 12th and then get knocked out real quick in the 12th. Boom. You just, all that work you worked for is out the window. Rockabye, baby. So I understand Shawn Porter, you know, just being a fighter, and in his heart he feels that, but I can't take Errol out the top 3, and that just don't make sense to me. As far as what he's saying with Crawford, I don't even have to spend too much time on that, because at the end of the day, this is what I told you. Crawford is the black sheep, no pun intended, and he's the odd man out, where the party is with PBC in a couple divisions. Definitely welterweight, definitely 154. There is no singular organization in the U.S. that has and hosts more of the prominent, popular fighters from those talent pools than PBC, from 147 to 154 particularly. You know, it's just, they got everyone. 54, they got Jermell Charlo, they got Terrell Goucher, Edislandi Lara, they got Brian Castano, they got Swift Jared Hurd, they got Julian J. Rock Williams, they got the guy that beat him, Jason Rosario. I believe he's working with them, but he's been on a couple of PBC cards, so I'm pretty sure he's won. And now that he's a unified champion, that's probably in his deal, even if he wasn't. So it is what it is. That's my thoughts. I mean, we knew what this was. I predicted this very scenario with Terrence Crawford and him being the person who is just overall seeking the challenges, good enough to beat his contemporaries possibly, but it's just a matter of getting those fights and not being aligned in this climate. It is what it is, you know. And I know there's a lot of like fake people in old media and the apologists who are going to try to act like, oh, like they feel so sorry for Terrence Crawford. But the thing is, you look at other promotions and they have good fights in-house, and some of them aren't even making those fights. So why would you not expect politics here when there's politics preventing certain fights from being made in-house? You get what I'm saying? Like, how come Canelo's on the same side as Andrade on DAZN, yet there's no talks ever for them to fight? Every time Canelo needs an opponent, you hear names like John Ryder and Ryota Murata, Caleb Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, before you hear Canelo's in final negotiations and, you know, trying to figure a venue with Andrade. You know, same thing with Golovkin. He's a champion and Andrade's a champion. You guys are all aligned with DAZN, yet you're not even making those fights or even attempting to make those fights. So why would you expect an outsider like Terrence Crawford, who's with a whole different organization, and you expect that to easily be made ahead of like inward PBC business, when they're clearly putting their fighters in the machine and making them pop in America? Like Gervonta Tank Davis about to fight on pay-per-view in May. Like, it's just, it is what it is. Now, last thing I'll say is funny, because they did the Wilder versus Fury stuff, and I didn't see Tim Bradley, and he was one of the main antagonists of PBC fighters. So it's going to be interesting to see if and how he's placed on commentary duties with all that stuff he was saying, and then now they're working together. And, you know, even Mark Kriegel and stuff like that, it seemed like ESPN had a lot to say about PBC, but now they're working with PBC, and Mark Kriegel's right next to Shawn Porter. But I don't see the same Bradley-esque energy in terms of like berating the PBC guys that are so cowardly in ducking Crawford. You see what I'm saying? Like, people say this stuff from afar, like, oh, you guys are cowards, and whoop, 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 and say it emphatically. But then when the cameras are rolling and it's TV, then you're forced to tone it down, or you choose to tone down, or whatever reason is making it. So it's just, to me, it's just kind of like the internet. You know, people say whatever on the internet. Oh, when I see you, I'm going to slap you. But then it don't happen. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, okay. You know, it's just internet tough talk. Like, people say this and that, or you're weak and da-da-da-da. you know. So I think that wasn't the way to go about it, because now you're sitting up here working with PBC fighters, and I don't see anybody flashing on Shawn Porter like that and going off and, you know, chewing him out. So that's what I was expecting. I was expecting some confrontation, like Tim Bradley run up, hey, Shawn Porter, you a coward, you know, get some viewership going. But then I'm not seeing anything that. So what was the point of doing that on your own network by yourself? You know, where's the people cussing out Shawn Porter and saying he's a coward? Shawn Porter just told you. He said, no, ain't nobody's afraid of Crawford over here. This is where the party's at. So I just thought that was funny. I wanted to point it out. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. If you love what I am doing, you know, you can super chat. You can leave me a like, leave me a comment. Let me know how I'm doing. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next videos, Ego signing off.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.